Hello and what is going on, guys? It's Runescape here, and today I have 5 ways that you should be preparing your account to be ready for the Rex Matriach update when it drops. If you're looking for daily Runescape free content, then hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any juicy money making methods that will make you bank. Speaking of which, check out the Ultimate Money Making playlist down in the description below to check out some of our videos that you may have already missed. For those of you that are unaware, we are due a new boss in RuneScape 3, which is the bigger and badder version of the Dagannoth Kings. These are known as the Rex Matriarchs, and they can be located on Anachronia. These are meant to be a step up from the existing Dagannoth Kings and have 190,000 health each. In a similar fashion to DKs, you're going to need Tribrid here to kill all 3 of them. Which gets us into our first tip. Make sure you have all 3 ability bars for each style complete on your action bar and get familiar with them. For those of you Revo++ users out there, on screen now I have 3 action bars for each combat style that I'd recommend using. Please note that using full manual will result in more damage and therefore more kills an hour, so use this at your own cost. Please also note, if you've unlocked Greater Ricochet, move it before frag shot on the range bar. Another useful tip that ties in with this is to set up your action bar binding in the settings. You want to select this under the combat and action bar tab and simply select action bar binding. In this menu you can link a certain weapon type to automatically swap to the respective action bar that you select. For example, when I equip a two-handed range weapon, such as an Eldritch crossbow, it will automatically swap to my two-hand range action bar. If I was to then equip a Noxious staff, it would go to the respective magic bar that I have for two-handed mage. And as these are going to be following a similar style to Dagannoth Kings, it can be predicted that you're going to want to bring a Tribrid switch and gear setup in order to maximise your kills an hour on release, making this tip exceptionally useful. Tip number 2 is to make sure that you have a Dinosaur Slayer task from Lanakeia. You will also want to prefer them and use all of the boosts available, such as a Slayer Master Cape to force the task and Slayer Introspection to get the max number of them to kill. This is especially important as it will greatly boost your kills an hour by letting you have boosted hit chances and damage against the Rex Matriarchs. Also, it is unconfirmed whether or not the drops from these will have a greater chance of being dropped on task, so it is better to be safe than sorry. Another important tip to prolong your Slayer task is to use the Premier Artifact, which you can obtain by being a Premier Club member. This can grant you a 10% chance of not decreasing the Slayer task count when killing these. No worries if you haven't got this. You can also use your best dedicated Slayer aura to get the same effects. But please, if you are playing RuneScape, get the Premier Club when it comes around. It's a great deal and it gives you tons of benefits in-game. Another tip, which is pretty self-explanatory, stock up on supplies now. This means stocking up on brews, solid food, incense sticks, familiar pouches, scrolls, everything that you think you may need to kill the new boss, stock up on now, as these will inevitably skyrocket once these drop. I cannot stress this tip enough. Personally, anytime I earn a lot of money when I'm buying gear, I like to take out say 100, 200 mil and just stock up on all of the supplies that I'm running low of so that I don't run into this problem in the future. So in order to cover this next tip, we have to cover the drops that you can expect to get from the Rex Matriarchs. They're going to be dropping 4 new rings and a new spear. So first up, we have the Stalker's Ring, which is made by combining 10 Archer's rings with the Heart of the Archer. This ring will give you a passive bonus of a 3% critical strike chance when using a bow, which, if you're unaware of the current meta, will be very niche as you do not benefit from the criminal bolts when using a bow. Next up, we have what's probably going to be the most sought after ring, the Reaver's Ring, which is combined by using 10 Berserker rings and the Heart of the Berserker. This ring gives you a passive bonus of 5% critical strike chance at the cost of 5% accuracy. This won't be very good at bosses where you require a high accuracy bonus, such as Virago and Rise of the Six. However, at those newer style bosses where accuracy isn't actually required, such as Solak, Raksha, and Ambassador, this ring will be best in slot, and because of this will probably hold a high value. Next up, we have the Channeler's Ring, which is a mage ring which is combined by using 10 Seer's rings and a Heart of the Seer from the new boss. This gives a passive bonus of a 4% stack to critical strike chance per hit when using channeled abilities. This is going to make your Asphyxiate and your Concentrated Blast significantly stronger and therefore will be seeked out by anyone using magic in the game. And finally, you have the Champion's Ring, which is obtained by combining the Heart of the Warrior with 10 Warrior rings, and this gives you a passive bonus of 3% critical strike chance against bleeding targets. This will be extremely useful for any group bossing content such as raids where you're going to have a lot of people on the boss, which means there's going to be a bleed applied at all times, letting you gain this buff. Now that we've discussed the 4 new rings that are coming to the game, this tip is going to be invest in the ring that you want most. If any of these tickle your fancy, then I'd recommend buying 10 of the rings now before they skyrocket on release. Unfortunately, if you're an Iron Man, you're going to have to kill DKs to get these, so pick your ones very carefully that you want to obtain, and best of luck with getting your rings. We have a legacy mode Dagannoth King guide on the channel if you want to check that out. It's very chill and relaxed and it will get you over 150 kills an hour. The final tip that I have to offer is probably the most important, and it's setting up all of your presets to have everything that you need on launch. You need to ask yourself whether you want to tri-brid these or tackle them manually, because if you're going to tri-brid, you're only going to need 1 preset, and if you want to kill these individually, you're going to need 3. On screen now I have an example of the tri-brid preset that I'm going to be using on release in order to kill all 3 of them in the same trip. First up, the best in slot hybrid armor in the game is the Sliske armor. This is relatively expensive at the moment in anticipation for this update. You can also pair this with the effect from a full set of War Priest if you own one. In terms of perking out your armor, it's going to be similar to most bossing. I personally am going to be using Enhanced Devoted 4, Biting 4, Crackling 4 and Relentless 4. And finally I'll have Scavenging 4 because I use my Slisk for Slayer. Next up, you're going to want your best hybrid cape. I'm going to be using a max cape, but you can also bring War Priest if you have it. Same goes for your gloves and boots. You're going to want Cinderbanes, as these are most likely going to be weak to poison damage. The Silverhawk boosts also provide great hybrid bonuses whilst letting you train agility if you want to invest the money. Next up, you're going to want to use your best 2-hand range, mage and melee weapon. You can bring dual wield, but I'd recommend bringing 2H for inventory space. The best in slots here will be an Eldritch Crossbow, Inquisitor's Staff and Pterosaur Maul, as they will all work against them. I wouldn't recommend the Hex Hunter Bow as it's ridiculously expensive and you do not benefit from the criminal bolts when using this. I'd also recommend bringing a shield. It seems that these new matriarchs may have special attacks which may enable you to get a cheeky heal here and there, and you never know, you might have to shield camp for some parts of the fight. And finally, you're going to want to bring your Spring Cleaner, Excalibur and Ancient Shard. These are probably going to be dropping salvage, so you want to clean up your inventory as you go, and the Excalibur and Shard will help you prolong your trip. If you did truly want to maximise your kills an hour when this launches, I'd recommend bringing your best gear and doing a full tri-brid switch. So this would probably be switching the body and legs of your melee, mage and range gear with your best weapons of choice. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. I hope you guys found some useful tips to help you on your journey when this new boss comes out. If you want to make some money in order to get some of the things that I mentioned in this video, check out the Ultimate Money Making playlist down below in the description. If like me, you're going to be killing these on release, I'd heavily recommend subscribing to the channel as we're going to be bringing out guides, tips and tricks and also reviewing all of the drops that they have to offer on launch.